Today, Bosch is launching a whole host of new gear for model year 2025, including a brand new updated Performance Line CX drive unit. Stay tuned to find out how they've performed so far in this first ride report on loamwolf.com. Let's go. Oh, surprising. Now, I don't know about you, but I can't personally think of anyone better to introduce the new updates than the CEO of Bosch e-bike systems himself, Klaus Fleischer. Klaus, please take it away.
So the highlight of the model year 25 portfolio is the new Performance Line CX, which we'll launch now. And Performance Line CX comes together with new batteries, PowerTube 600, PowerTube 800, with a very high energy density, a new display Purion 400, and then system solutions like eShift with Shimano Qs and also eShift with TRP. And we launched a ABS Pro with a performance brake from TRP, the DHR Evo, and the Magura MT7, also capable of running with the ABS Pro. For the Performance Line CX, we see the perfect balance with 85 Newton meters, 600 watts, because it's a perfect balance between power, riding dynamics and fun, and efficiency, range, and also wear and tear of your chain, cassette and tire. So that's the perfect balance for everyone.
For this first ride review, we're just going to focus on two of the highlight components of the new system, the new drive unit, the BDU38, as well as the new ABS Pro system. We're undoubtedly going to have many bikes coming with the new model year 2025 Bosch system in the coming months, so be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more updates of the whole system. But yeah, for now we're going to focus firstly on the new model year 2025 Performance Line CX drive unit. So although the peak figures at 85 Newton meters of torque, 600 watts of peak power haven't changed, there's definitely a whole host of updates that have made this system feel very different and just generally perform that little bit better. First of which is a very welcome 100-gram weight reduction. They've used a new magnesium housing on it just to shave off a little bit of weight and yeah, help us get towards our super lightweight e-bike goals that everyone's dreaming of. Secondly, there's new sensors, including some inertia sensors that allow the bike to detect exactly what's going on the ground beneath it, helping to deliver the correct amount of power and the, yeah, just generally the right feeling for you underneath your feet, which makes a massive difference to the amount of control that you have over the drive unit. Then there's the reduced noise. Not only is it quieter and with a nicer tone on the way up the hill, but also there's no more rattle on the way down, which really helps to keep the whole bike feeling nice and dialed. And finally, they've worked on the temperature stability, meaning that you can push the drive unit harder than ever on the way up the hill and still keep on getting that maximum power out of it. They've also updated some of the functionality. There's now an improved walk mode, which really makes a difference and feels a lot more intuitive when you're trying to get up the hill off of the bike. And then there's also a hill start function, meaning that once you've used that walk mode and you've got the hill hold function from the walk mode active, keeping the bike in place, you can then climb onto the bike and start pedaling away straight away without sliding back down the hill, making tricky sections like technical climbs a lot easier to deal with on the way up the hill. So far I've managed to log about 8 rides on the new Performance Line CX drive unit, and while initially I wasn't hit exactly by the biggest kind of change overall of the drive unit, as I kept on riding it more and more, I began to realise just how natural it feels. That's the biggest standout for me. Of course, the reduced noise overall is really welcome as well. But yeah, it's just, it feels, they keep on referring to it being stuck to your feet. And I think what they mean by that is that it's really sensitive to your input, meaning that as soon as you start pedaling and you give it some input power, it starts to react to the torque a lot more, more sensitively, more naturally than the previous drive unit did. And you really end up with just a lot more control overall. You can manage the traction a little bit better on tricky, slippy technical climbs, and it just makes the user experience that little bit easier. Since I've had some rides on the new system, I've also had a couple of rides on the old system in between. And yeah, you become almost used to the new system and how sensitive and how easy it is to ride relatively on the technical climbs. And then the old system just becomes that little bit harder to handle. So there was a few moments where I tried to ride the old system like you can the new system, and just wasn't able to make a technical climb. The new walk mode is also a lot more sensitive and intuitive, and being able to hop on the bike, still have that hill hold, keeping you in place and then pedal away is really nice as well. So really the overall user experience and the sensitivity, the just general reactivity of the drive unit has been improved so much, and it's a really welcome update by Bosch. Also, the reduced noise, like I mentioned, it's really appreciated, and it means that you can now have an e-bike that is almost entirely silent on the descent. You just hear the trail noise below you and maybe the little click of your rear hub, but there's no more Bosch rattle. As many people have complained about, that has been addressed. And on the way up the hill as well, the noise is a little bit quieter. It's not, totally silent, but it's still impressively quiet for a full power drive unit. But also the noise that it does make is just much less irritating, meaning it's just a more pleasant drive unit all around. I haven't managed to exactly put this thing through millions of miles to give you a long-term review on it. You will have to stay tuned for that. We'll be putting many bikes, like I mentioned, to the test with this drive unit in the coming months, I'm sure. And I'm excited to exactly see where the temperature stability taps out on long climbs and see if there are any issues that present themselves in the long term. But for now, I really am impressed what Bosch has done. I would have loved to see more power, absolutely, and I think many people are really going to be calling for that from the Bosch drive unit. But I do understand Bosch's argument for people who might be, expecting that the new system might suddenly have, 120 newton meters torque, or just generally an increase in the power. What are the considerations that people maybe aren't thinking about when, they're demanding more power? What are the drawbacks that might come with that?
Sometimes there is a question for more catalog values and increasing KPIs. For us, it's more important to balance the trade-offs, and the trade-off of more torque and more watt and more power is always more wear and tear and more cost. So chain, cassette, tires, they will wear out way faster. And then also your range will be shortened. Like when you have a fast car and you push down the throttle, you see it in your gas tank. So for that we said, what we have today in this market, this is super good and all the components work. If you increase this, for whom and why? Just to make a point. And we said we stay in the perfect balance of what is out there right now, fits perfectly in that balance of trade-offs.
I do kind of agree that this is a pretty nice spot, but as a 100 kilo, 220 pound rider, I would always love to see a little bit more power. When you get onto systems like the Rocky Mountain Dynamy, that extra power is notable and very much appreciated. So I'll be interested to see if Bosch does update the system in the future to reflect the calls of people who are demanding even more. Touching on the new ABS Pro system, and I think this is one of the other really interesting updates that Bosch has made. The original ABS system was very much a safety tool and just didn't feel like it was designed for super aggressive riding, which is what I typically like to do. I just didn't feel like when I was riding that old system, like it was benefiting me. And there were a few times that even I would say it was detrimenting me and just limiting the amount of maximum braking power that I could get out of the system. So for this new ABS Pro system, Bosch has taken it from the performance side of things and tried to bring in the safety aspect from the performance side rather than the performance aspect from the safety side, if that makes sense. So this is a more sensitive, slightly less overall controlling system, but it is designed just to limit the amount of slip that your front wheel can have in a lock-up scenario on slippery terrain when you first touch that brake lever. Meaning that if you're really hammering down some slippery technical terrain and you go to grab a bunch of front brake, that front wheel isn't going to lock up in the first instance. But because of how they've updated the system, it does mean that if you want it to lock up, or just through sustained braking efforts, it doesn't keep on limiting the braking power and keep on stopping the wheel from giving you maximum braking traction. So you've got riders like the Miranda factory team who have been calling for this and demanding this on their race bikes, because it does just let you kind of focus less on that initial pull of the brakes and keep your braking power extra high and your stopping distances that little bit shorter. For me, I'm not entirely sure it's still something that I'd be demanding to have on my e-bike. In the single ride that I've had on the system, which was super slippery, as you'll see in the footage, I was deliberately trying to get the system to activate, but there's still a bit of a mental barrier that prevented me from just grabbing a fistful of front brake, because as I'm sure you'll be the same, you develop the modulation of the front brake over time to stop yourself from getting injured and going over the bars. So when you have that system there, you're not necessarily going to fully switch off your brain and just fully grab the brake and demand that the system steps in for you. So during that first ride, I had 7 activations of it when I was trying. A lot of those I think were on super slippery bits of terrain where I was almost sitting off the back of the bike and just grabbing a handful of brake to see how it worked. But yeah, even if it's only going to activate once or twice, potentially over time, you're going to get more and more confident in pulling that front brake lever harder, and potentially you're going to limit or reduce your maximum stopping distances over time. The jury is still out for me. I don't know if the extra complexity and weight is worth it, but I'm excited to get more time on it to report back in the coming months. So be sure to subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out long-term reviews coming of the ABS Pro system and the new Bosch Performance Line CX, as well as many other things across the industry. If you enjoyed this video, give us a like, leave us a comment, let us know what your thoughts are on the new drive unit. Is it enough to justify an update? And the ABS Pro system, is that something that you're looking to test? Let us know. Thank you for watching. Catch you out on the trails.